This is every single fight to make next after UFC 275, Teixeira versus Prochazka. I have all of the key fighters from that card on the screen right now, and you may notice there is an empty box next to all of them, and that's where their next opponent's going to go, who I have hidden around the perimeter of the screen. I'll slowly reveal those opponents one by one as the video goes on and place them where they belong on the screen, starting straight away with the main event, Jiri Prochazka versus Glover Teixeira. Glover Teixeira was well on his way to winning that matchup. He was winning the 5th round, but Jiri Prochazka showed the heart of a lion and came out there and got the rear naked choke with 30 seconds left to go. It was an amazing matchup. Both guys are going to need a little bit of time off. I know a lot of people are calling for the rematch. Let me match make their next opponents, and then I'll talk about the rematch after that. We start straight away with Jiri Prochazka. I do believe the winner of Ankalaev versus Anthony Smith has been promised a title shot in the light heavyweight division, so I believe it's going to be Ankalaev. I think he's going to beat Anthony Smith by like 29-28 decision in a pretty competitive bout. As long as he doesn't take too much damage, I guess we could see Jiri Prochazka versus him on a November pay-per-view card, and that would be absolutely amazing. I'd really look forward to that matchup. The two futures of the light heavyweight division fighting for a belt. If Ankalaev beats Anthony Smith, I reckon he'll be ranked like number 3 in a division. That's worthy of a title shot, and you'd have to do Jiri Prochazka versus Ankalaev. I know Jan Blachowicz is out there really pushing for a title shot, and I actually saw a video of him getting aggressive with Jiri, and Jiri showing him some love and trying to calm him down and stuff like that. But Jan Blachowicz, you lost the 2nd round against Rakic, and then Rakic blew his leg out. Fair play because you were checking some of his kicks, but that's not really a type of performance where you're going to definitely earn a title shot next. So I don't think Jan Blachowicz has done enough. I think he needs one more win against an up-and-comer. I think the winner of Ankalaev versus Smith will have been on a massive streak, and there'll be a fresh opponent for Jiri Prochazka and a fresh opponent fighting for the belt if it is Ankalaev. And I think that'll be a great build-up as well. The two futures colliding against each other for the belt. And when it comes to Glover Teixeira, I'll get to the idea of a rematch in a second. For Glover Teixeira, I feel like his next opponent should be, I just spoke about him, Alexander Rakic is, I think, the next opponent for Glover Teixeira. Mainly because Glover is really old. I know I'm not really having a bit of a hot take there. He's really old. He's going to need a bit of time after that fight. I know he was winning on like positional control here and there, and he had big moments at the end of the rounds with some big ground and pound shots, and he got actually quite outlanded in round 2, but he sliced open Jiri with an elbow at the end of the 2nd round. He took a lot of concussive damage in that fight. Same with Jiri, but Yuri's 29. Glover's 42 years of age. He needs to be out until maybe at least December, or maybe even early next year, in all honesty. Alexander Rakic tore his ACL in his last fight against Jan Blachowicz. He's already had surgery. He's going to need many months to recover, and then many months to get back into shape and get back in the gym and get back into peak form of conditioning. And then we can maybe do those two against each other. I know it's sort of a bad deal for Glover here because Rakic is a dangerous guy. However, I don't see why Glover wouldn't just take him down and out-grapple him and be able to do well in that format against Alexander Rakic. I think is a decent matchup for him. Also, Rakic doesn't really deserve to go right back to the back of the pile because he didn't really lose in like a getting exposed kind of way. He came in with an injury. Jan checked a couple of kicks. He fucked up his leg. Like it was... I don't think he deserves to, like, hustle a couple more wins back, like 3 more wins in a row before he even sniffs a title shot again. Give him Glover Teixeira, both coming off losses, both going to be coming back around the same time as well. And here's what I want to say about a rematch. I know people are really calling for a rematch here, and they really want one. A rematch does sound like a good idea. You can't use it as your first plan, okay? You don't want to say, when you have other options, we need a rematch now. You want to use a rematch when you don't really have other options. That's my opinion, okay? Jan Blachowicz is not an option right now, in my opinion. But let's say if Ankalaev and Anthony Smith have a really bad performance, the winner gets injured. These things happen all of the time. All of the time people get injured in fights. The winner gets injured, the winner tears an ACL, the winner breaks a hand. It's the light heavyweight division. Those two are pretty tough. I reckon it will go the distance. They're going to be out for a while. Then you activate the idea of a rematch. You do not use the rematch as your first form of what you want to do. Okay? That's not plan A. You use a rematch as plan B if there's no idea of a fresh matchup you can have. Ankalaev-Smith could go to war. Ankalaev might win, break his hand, need 6 months off after that. It's already happening in July. And in that case, sign me up for Jiri Prochazka versus Glover Teixeira 2 in November. Sign me up. But you don't want to lead with that. You don't want to lead with the idea of a rematch. You want to use it as a, if all else fails, and maybe Ankalaev has like the most boring performance of all time, because let's be real, his last few performances have not been entertaining whatsoever. Let's say Ankalaev stalls out a decision win over Smith in half guard, and the whole arena boos him out of there for ruining a pay-per-view card at UFC 277. Then you can activate the idea of a rematch. You can also say, hey, Ankalaev-Smith, the winner of this will get a title shot. But if you don't really perform, we don't mind the idea of Glover getting a rematch. And that's how you entice them to have a good matchup. That's my opinion. But I don't mind the idea of a rematch either. Moving on. Valentina Shevchenko versus Taila Santos. Shevchenko edges out a decision based on damage, which is the scoring criteria of MMA. And I think her next opponent should be not a rematch against Taila Santos. I get it was close, but she is a contender. She's also 28 years of age, so she's got time to improve and come back and be an even bigger threat in a rematch. I think Valentina Shevchenko should look to take on the winner of Manon Fiorot versus Caitlin Chookagian, and I do believe that's going to be Manon Fiorot in September in France, and we bring Valentina Shevchenko back in December, something along those lines. You don't want to really have Valentina Shevchenko being too active, because like she'll just, if you make her too active, you're going to run out of contenders eventually. I don't want to do a rematch. We've got September, the start of September, Manon Fiorot versus Caitlin Chookagian. The winner of that one, even if it's Chookagian, she'll be now on a 4-fight win streak since losing to Shevchenko. And after that performance against Taila Santos, I didn't really want to see Manon Fiorot get a title shot for beating Caitlin Chookagian, even though she should have. I wanted to see her maybe rack up a few more wins and develop first. But she's 32. So she's going to need a title shot real soon if she's going to get one at all. I think Manon Fiorot, if she beats Caitlin Chookagian, is now more of a threat in the public's eyes. I don't think we're going to see a massive favoritized Valentina Shevchenko where she's 6-1 as a favorite, or like a 8-1 favorite over someone, or a minus 1,000 or something like that. I think we're going to see much closer odds. I think the idea of her losing at flyweight has become a little bit more reasonable, and I think her versus Manon Fiorot would be good in December. Turn around Manon Fiorot pretty quickly after she wins in September if she does, and then have that title fight at the end of the year in December with a bunch of champions on the card. For Taila Santos, she's 28. If she comes back and shows improvement against contenders and builds another bit of a title shot for herself, people are going to be like, I'm picking her. Because Shevchenko, I don't think she's getting much better. I do think she's reached a peak performance level for herself. She's coming into like the middle area of the 30s, which ain't the best age for a woman, especially, like, I feel like women's primes are a little bit less than men's primes in MMA, just because of the capabilities of the body and certain, like, cycles that women go through. You know, I'm not going to get into the technicality of it, but you know what I'm saying. We don't normally see many, like, 40-year-old women still becoming champions like Glover. So I'm going to say Shevchenko, no rematch against Santos. Santos, I think, should take on the winner of Miesha Tate versus Lauren Murphy, which I do believe is going to be Miesha Tate. That's a big matchup for her as well. You can put it on the main card of a pay-per-view, I guess. Taila Santos has built her name up now, so she is a big enough name. They'll probably make it a main event of the fight night. That's what they're going to do, and it will be in November or October. Give Taila Santos some time to recover her eye and build her up as a contender again. And then by the time she's 29 and Shevchenko's, what, 34, 35? All of a sudden, people are going to say, I think Taila Santos has improved. She just got 2 more finishes, or she just had 2 more good performances. Now let's have the rematch. And I think then you'd start considering maybe an underdog pick of Taila Santos in that rematch. Great matchup. Let's not rush things. Let's circle her back around and then maybe build up Alexa Grasso and Erin Blanchfield and some of the other up-and-comers in that division at the time and give them time to blossom rather than rushing everyone towards the top. Moving on to Zhang Weili, who got a big win over Joanna Jacek. Of course, Joanna Jacek is just not fighting anymore, so I haven't put her on this. But Zhang Weili, I think she's next for Carla Esparza in the strawweight division. That's the matchup to make. I guess Marina Rodriguez is there. No one wants to see a Rose Namajunas trilogy with Carla Esparza whatsoever. Plus, Esparza has 2 wins over her as well. I think the move to make is Zhang Weili versus Carla Esparza next. She showed great wrestling. She had an amazing performance. You don't normally get KOs like that at women's strawweight, so when you do, you need to capitalize on them and use that marketability for a title fight. So I think Zhang Weili, Carla Esparza, October, Abu Dhabi. Keep it active in the strawweight division. Zhang Weili wants Abu Dhabi. I'm sure Esparza took no damage in that Rose fight because neither of them did, let's be real. So Zhang Weili versus Carla Esparza is the matchup I want to see in October. Keep them busy. And then we can build up maybe like a Rose Namajunas, Marina Rodriguez for a title shot. A Jessica Andrade versus maybe a Mackenzie Dern who's coming off a win over Tisha Torres. And then we can build up some other contenders after that as well. That's what I think they should do at women's strawweight. Moving on. The best performance on the card. And that's saying something for this card. Jake Matthews. Reinvented himself. Didn't see... he is not the guy I remember. He is a new savage, Jake Matthews. And he looked amazing. Finished off Andre Fialho with ease. Barely missed a shot in the second round. He had lightning accuracy. And I think his next opponent should be, for a chance at a ranked opponent, I think he deserves a bit of a jump up. And I'd like to see him take on Woody Harrelson. Gunnar Nelson. I want to see him versus Gunnar Nelson. Great matchup, I do believe. Jake Matthews, Gunnar Nelson. I'm thinking this. Jake Matthews wants to come back in Paris on the September card. I think you open up the main card with him. Give him that spotlight on the main card. And I'm thinking to myself like, who's the only real unranked European bantamweight that's not below Jake Matthews, but not quite ranked, and is in that Jake Matthews to number 16 proportion of the welterweight division? And Gunnar Nelson is that guy. Gunnar Nelson is reasonably high ranked outside of the rankings in the welterweight division. Jake Matthews is there as well. Gunnar Nelson took no damage against Takashi Sato. I'm sure if you ask Gunnar Nelson where would you rather travel to, Paris or across the Antarctic Ocean, all the way over to America, I'm sure he's going to go with, give me Paris. Quick flight to Paris. Probably take him about 5 hours from Iceland or something like that. Or wherever he trains. I think he trains in Ireland, so that'll only be like a... You can get a train, in all honesty. You can go to London, get a train. It's like a 2-hour train. So, yeah, Jake Matthews, Gunnar Nelson, make it happen. It's convenient for Gunnar Nelson geographically, and it's a good opponent for Jake Matthews. Gunnar Nelson took no damage in his last fight. Fought a little while ago now anyway. It's already been quite some time since that win. So, Jake Matthews, Gunnar Nelson, make the fight happen. I think it's a great matchup. Moving on to another opponent. Jack Della Maddalena got a big win over Ramazan Emeev. I'm going to speed through these last three, and I think his next opponent should be a good test for him. A test for all up-and-comers in the welterweight division. Francisco Trinaldo. He needs the Trinaldo test. I don't think he's ready for Jake Matthews. I think Jake Matthews showed in his performance that he's the guy who's ready for a big test at welterweight and then to get maybe a ranked opponent afterwards. But I think Jack Della Maddalena versus Francisco Trinaldo would be a perfect matchup for both of them. Trinaldo's on a bit of a win streak, 2-win streak right now in the welterweight division. He's higher ranked than Jack Della Maddalena, higher ranked than Ramazan Emeev was anyway. And I think Jack Della Maddalena is going to be looking for that step next. If you beat Trinaldo and you can finish a guy like Trinaldo with strikes, who's dog tough and still got it and has big power in his hands as well, if you can finish Francisco Trinaldo, you set yourself apart from the bottom feeders of the welterweight division that maybe could get a quick win over Ramazan Emeev or a close win. Because let's not forget, I know it was a close fight and I think it was a robbery. Danny Roberts got his hand raised against Ramazan Emeev. I know in very different fashion, but still. Jack Della Maddalena, Francisco Trinaldo. If you can do what you've been doing to these other guys to him, you're a real contender in the welterweight division. And then we'll start looking to give you matchups like a Randy Brown or a Chaos Williams coming off a loss or something along those lines. Jack Della Maddalena, Francisco Trinaldo, make it happen. We move on. Joshua Kalibau got a big win over Sung Woo Choi in the featherweight division. I think his next matchup should be Damon Jackson. Sounds like a joke. Damon Jackson's ranked number 22 on the worldwide rankings, outside of the rankings in the featherweight division. Josh Kalibau was 1-1-1 before this performance. Lost to Jarlin Turner, draw to Charles Jourdain. No shame in either of those results. And he got a win over Yilan Sha Lian, something like that. Not really a big name. So this was his first big win. Sung Woo Choi is reasonably high ranked. And Damon Jackson's number 22 because I think he's on like a 3-fight win streak right now at featherweight. So Test out Joshua Kalibao's grappling. It's been his weakness before. And if he beats a guy like Damon Jackson, then you're looking at maybe a Hakeem Dawodu. Or like a Sadiq Youssef if he hasn't taken another fight yet. Or a guy coming off a loss, like let's say Burgos loses to Jourdain. Maybe you can give him Burgos and try and get him jumping up into the rankings. I think that's the matchup to make. Joshua Kalibao, Damon Jackson. See if his grappling's improved. And I reckon he'll handle Jackson on the feet as well pretty easily. We move on. Brendan Allen got a win on damage. Very close fight against Jacob Malkoun. Pretty lucky to get the win. It could have gone either way in the judges' eyes, in all honesty. So I believe they're going to go with Brendan Allen versus Krzysztof Jotko in the middleweight division. A performance like that, to me, from Brendan Allen, doesn't say time for a ranked opponent. Maybe Jotko's number 15 or something, but he's not really one of those Brad Tavares type names or one of those types of names that's really a test in the middleweight division. He had a pretty mediocre performance against Gerald Meerschaert. So if Brendan Allen can get a win over Krzysztof Jotko, he'll set himself apart from the rest of the middleweight rubble. And yeah, let's make that matchup next. Allen's on a 2-fight win streak. He's been around for a while already. Let's do Brendan Allen, Krzysztof Jotko reasonably soon. He took no damage in his last fight, so hopefully he turns around maybe in October. I know Jotko's from Poland, so maybe it'll be nice for him to go over to Abu Dhabi rather than across the Antarctic Ocean. So let's make that happen. Abu Dhabi, prelims, Brendan Allen, Krzysztof Jotko. See you later. Thank you for tuning in. Those are all the matchups to make. Goodbye.